We are about to have a mayoral election of national implications, and that'll be great. With me right now is Kennedy.
Wait, a mayoral what? When was that first one? Because that completely changes the tenor of the race, Brian.
I didn't even introduce you yet.
Mm-hmm. They know.
Bottom of the hour, Miranda Devine's going to be on. You're on now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and by the way, how's your podcast going?
Amazing. Kennedy Saves the World, 5 days a week. Fox News Podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, get saved.
Right. Get saved. What do you mean?
It's called Kennedy Saves the World.
Oh, get saved.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like a Christian.
Sure,
born
that
again.
too. Whatever. You know, we're down for all of it, Brian. No judgments.
You had Ainsley on.
I
How'd you
did.
handle with the expletives and everything? Yeah, because that's how people see her on television. But when she goes on podcasts, everything's a curse word.
Yeah, it was like beep, 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 beep. It was like Morse code.
Right. See, but still, I'm sure people enjoyed it. It's always good to hear from her. Before we get to Kenny, let's get to the big three.
Number 3. He's attacking you as a communist, are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist. That means I believe in dignity for all people.
He's great dignity.
Yeah, I think...
You're not a communist. I agree
No.
with that.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
good.
Joy. Wow,
That's
Joy
fantastic.
Behar weighed in.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, isn't the big three supposed to be just me? I mean, she's just yelling during this. More on that later. Well, Wake Up New York City, your front-running mayor is letting you know what a disaster he will be on schools, crime, and the economy.
Number 2.
This is not about safety. This is not about immigration. This is about fomenting chaos and terrorizing the people of Chicago and cities across America.
Now you're insulted. You don't want to say anything.
I didn't want to hear the word fomenting today.
Crime crackdown in blue cities from Portland to Chicago. The heat is coming with one simple goal: safety for the people. Why is that bad for Democratic
How
mayors
dare
and governors?
you? And your racism.
Number 1.
They switched all their positions for political expediency, and now they're making the American people pay for that. It's wrong and it's shameless.
How long does this go on?
I hope it's a short one because real people are suffering because of it.
Shutdown in D.C. Dems feeling the pain as Trump, Thune, and Johnson amp up the pressure because they've acquired almost all the leverage. We'll break it down. And right now, Lisa, I know you, Kennedy, you pride yourself on saying, hey, I'm not a Republican or Democrat.
I am not.
Right.
That is a factual statement. Very good.
Right, thank you. And we've also noticed in 2013, Ted Cruz says, I want to stop Obamacare. Let's have a lockout. How'd that go? Terrible. Yeah. Barack Obama ran over him. And then we had the Freedom Caucus do a lot of this without the leverage. They have a great theme. I understand their cause, but they don't have any leverage, so they lost that. We're now witnessing.
Talking about 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about leverage. I mean, Freedom Caucus stood up for a lot of great things, but they didn't have the numbers. Now we have the progressive side of the left controlling Chuck Schumer.
He's
they
terrified.
they don't have the numbers. They don't have the leverage right now. And Trump let him know, hey, that $18 billion going to New York, I think I'm going to hold on to it.
Oh, yeah, you want to build that cute little tunnel
Not
between
anymore.
New York and New Jersey? We're going to put that on pause.
Put the shovels away. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it, by the way, the tunnels.
They're underwater shovels, by the way.
Which is crazy, right? Because you have to have. Do you have a snorkel or you just have a full scuba outfit?
It's I would love to snorkel,
Right.
but it's got to be scuba because you snorkel. It's got to be a long snorkel.
Right.
It's got to be like
because you got to stay on the surface. Because
Because
how do you keep the snorkel above the water while shoveling and making a tunnel?
Tougher than you think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They used to do that though.
They did
in the 1880s.
That's how the railroads were built.
Right, and that was before flippers. They couldn't figure out, right? I mean, who invented flippers?
There was no underwater propulsion.
Yes.
I would say the Greeks probably did.
Right, absolutely, because they did
were
everything.
seafaring folk.
I never saw them in the water, though.
They were
weren't
underwater.
By the way, not much of showering, right? They weren't big into cleanliness.
Of course they were. They were always underwater. They were cleaned by the sea
while making tunnels. All right, so they don't have any leverage, and I think little by little you're going to have Russ Folk go, I think I'm just going to start cutting programs and cutting jobs. And that's going to amp up the pressure. Plus, they're looking to change the big, beautiful bill fundamentally, which they didn't weigh in on because they didn't need any votes. They didn't give any votes. But you can't just go back and say, undo health care, I'm going to shut down the government. It's not going to work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that. And also, if your big socialized medicine plan requires funding
Constantly.
that you would only use during
Pandemics.
a global crisis,
Yes.
maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with said socialist healthcare plan.
So that's really what we're saying now. And now they have breaking up. 20 lawmakers are meeting on their own, outside leadership, to try to come up with some way to solve it. But AOC said, listen, you keep on bringing my name up, saying that Chuck Schumer's being tough because he's afraid of me primarying. She had an idea. Cut 7.
I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
Read between the lines. Does she really want her people to walk in, or is she trying to be a leader?
She would love to be a leader because the leadership in the Democrat caucus sucks. I don't think she's that great. I think that she's one of those people that is out to huff her own musk. She doesn't really, she's not about problem solving. She's about problem creating in order to get more attention.
Right. Cut 8 is Nancy Pelosi dealing with AOC's comment.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing? Why are you saying?
Her office directly. Do you think there's any?
She is not directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is. She's an articulate spokesperson for her point of view.
Go to bed, Nance. Just go to bed. Take a nap.
Well, but she gets mad at the questioner. I've seen her get mad on CNN, MSNBC.
Yeah,
but for asking
when she was on CNN with what's his name who just wrote the Biden book, Jake Tapper, and she got mad at him for asking a question relating to the news cycle in real life, and she's like, "How dare you? I thought we were just going to talk about my book, Jake." Right.
It's absolutely insane. They get on Trump for saying you're a terrible reporter and this, but he takes their questions and he actually answers their questions. What about the revelation today, although I want to stay with the lockdown, about Joe Biden with palm cards with pictures of Hillary Clinton and biographies, Chuck Schumer and biographies?
He was gone. I mean, was that is someone who is being completely propped up.
Tell me you were not surprised by this.
I mean,
come on.
It's wholly unsurprising. It's just really sad that that's the state he was in, that he couldn't I mean, how many people have we heard from? How many Democrats have said, well, yeah, he didn't recognize me. I saw him at the White House picnic. I wanted to run some ideas by him. And he's like, oh, nice to meet you, young man. It's like, actually, it's Eric Swalwell. I'm your grandson. Yes. Swalwell said that. He didn't recognize me.
But they weren't saying it at the time. They showed no guts, nobody. I mean,
Jake Tapper certainly didn't say it at the time. He challenged anyone who was like, yeah, maybe Biden is old and frail. Are you a doctor?
After the election.
Yeah, but after the election when he could make some money, he's like, oh, well, our reporting. It's like, no. Alex Thompson from Axios was the only one who was reporting that in real time, and you guys attacked him.
Did he see the co-author of the book, too?
Yes.
Yeah, so he got credit, and Jake Tapper kind of put his name on it. Mm-hmm. So on the Biden thing, did you see my tab system, by the way?
Very impressive.
Yeah,
I thought that was a legal brief that you were filing later.
Right, to sue you.
Oh,
finally.
Good Lord.
So,
what a day.
Did you see this Mary Bruce? The questions and answers of ABC reporter Mary Bruce was on the card, the palm card of Joe Biden's. So the question.
We knew this was happening all along, by the way. We knew that that KJP was pre-screening these questions before they were called upon. So Joe Biden knew what the questions were, knew what the answer was supposed to be in advance before he would call on members of the press.
Right, now,
and it had to be orderly, and no one could say anything. There couldn't be bright lights because he would seize up.
But don't diminish this revelation. To see it in black and white on the palm card.
Yeah.
It said, here's the question. Okay. How do you view the path forward? How do you think about your place in history? My goodness, if you can't roll out of bed and know the answer to that question, you need that question ahead of time. You need that written down anywhere.
Yeah, that's really sad. You shouldn't be president if you need. Yeah. Yes. So, this is a person who was compromised, frail, past his prime, obviously in a great state of mental disrepair, and still insisted on being the most powerful person in the country.
So Fox Digital got these 5 cards. 4 of the 5 cards obtained by Fox Digital are stamped with a disclaimer reading, President has seen.
Oh, great.
So
Good.
we had a chance to pre-read these on the few press conferences he had. And just contrast that with what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with a president that talks 4 times a day to anybody, random questions. It doesn't matter.
No, and if you see him on screen, you have no idea how long he's going to go.
Right.
Like I was in the green room the other day, and I think I got into hair and makeup at like 12:05, and it was during outnumbered, and I was like, they may not have a show because the president was talking.
Yeah.
He was talking to the press. He was talking to members of his cabinet. He was just talking. He was going off about anything that people would throw at him. And Joe Biden could never, ever put himself in that position.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to demand this. I don't think at this level. I think we're going to demand this in the future. By the way, thanks for turning down that call. Yeah. Because a lot of times I'll have guests who get a call and they'll leave.
I've seen it.
They're like, you're on a national radio show, but my housekeeper can't find her keys. So I got to go. So I was just amazed. This is the full circle. Nancy Pelosi, how we want to criticize her. So fast forward to 2024. She watches the collapse in June. Barack Obama doesn't do anything. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't do anything. Schumer doesn't do anything. She steps up and she rips him, calls over and said, put your pollster on. You're getting killed. You were terrible. I'm still winning. No, you're not. And then afterwards, she hops on MSNBC and say, he has to tell me if he wants to stay. He wants to stay in this race. And he keeps saying, I want to stay in the race. She has to tell him. It was all her that threw him overboard, which is why they don't talk. Yeah. But if you're looking for someone doing something for the party, late, she was the only one. The guys never stepped up. Obama never stepped up. Nobody stepped up.
Because it was messy. And it's like, and they were the ones who allowed the mess to fester for as long as it did.
Right.
Till it got to the point where you had no choice. So now his legacy is the guy who was forced out of the race because he was too old.
And was he ever there when these palm cards and things like that
not from January 20th, 2021 forward. He was not there.
Her name is Kennedy. Enough said. Back in a moment.
Scapegoat. You know what a scapegoat is? They get a goat and they heap all of the ills onto the goat, and then they run the goat out of town.
Breaking news, the latest headlines, exciting commentary.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
It's Brian Kilmeade.
We do need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives, led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This is from your report.
Look at I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
violence. Oh, no, sir.
Violence.
You're looking at somebody who's reading you your own words.
So that is from the Two-Spirit is a contemporary, and by the way, Kennedy's here. Two-Spirit is a contemporary indigenous-focused umbrella term for people of Native American cultures who embody both masculine and feminine spirits. And that was Hawley challenging Gregory Jackson, who served as deputy director of the Biden White House Office of Gun Violence and Prevention. So how off was just about everything during those years? Yeah. And what spirit are you?
A spirit of 76, I would say.
Thank you. Yeah. Which is
got a big 250 next
year.
For
us,
so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm going by the mean-spirited. I'm a little mean-spirited today.
No, you're not.
But I mean, this is the stuff that when we were Kennedy, we've been on the air so long together. This was once something that we've go, oh, do we have to learn this now? Pronouns, is this what people are talking about?
Yeah, Stanford with their language, like, don't call it a master bedroom.
Right.
It's called a primary bedroom because that might offend someone.
The NBA can't call themselves owners because it's bad. They can't call themselves owners.
Neither can people who own pets.
Right. Yeah,
you're going to offend your dog if you say I'm a dog
owner. But now we can.
Owner. Yeah.
Even Mayor Pete, no pronouns and a beard.
He cannot serve in Pete Hegseth's military with that beard.
I love that speech, by the way. Okay. Man, it's interesting. Thanks for building on that. Here is Kimmel and Colbert. Kimmel on Colbert.
Oh, God.
Cut 39.
We're doing something unprecedented tonight. We thought it might be a fun way to drive the president nuts. That son of a is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a
I mean,
Mr. Son of a
His Royal Yes. Yeah, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this. And I hope we don't ever have another president like this again.
Colbert, Kimmel on Colbert's couch. He's going against himself.
Yeah.
What happened to the days when Joey Bishop went against Johnny Carson and they stopped speaking? Joan Rivers went against Carson and there was a bloodlust feud. You know, when Chevy Chase spun. I mean, there used to be wars at night. Leno against Letterman. We want to win. That's because America. You can't go on the other guy's couch.
No. David Letterman never would have gone on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And
no,
like,
they hate each other.
Yeah.
Is that whole thing?
And like George W. Bush is a hack. Even though they probably, well, I don't know. Leno's pretty apolitical. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a registered Republican.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that he's like you. Like calls as like calling the shots. What do you like about each person?
I hope one day I have as many cars as he does.
Right. Do you find that, who do you think the funniest talk show host away from the camera is?
Jimmy Fallon.
True. How about not out of Fox?
Oh, like out
of all the guys that have done it and not done it, like they got the three in the middle, Letterman.
I used to
Leno.
love Letterman, but he was notoriously prickly off camera.
Right.
And didn't want anyone to talk to him. And it's like, he went to the same college as my parents in Indiana.
Ball State.
Yeah, my parents went to Ball State. That's where they met.
To me, the funniest is Conan O'Brien.
Conan's amazing.
I listened to his show on Sirius. And number one, I didn't really watch his late night show because of the job I have. But I just can't believe in the moment how funny. I don't think anyone's close. Now you know why Lorne Michaels said this guy's a writer, but he will be a great host.
Yes. And he knew that he was not a comedic performer on a sketch show, but that there was something about him that was so likable and so funny and smart, because it's hard to be that smart and that intellectual and come from Harvard and still be that goofy and adolescent.
Right. And what do you think that means in the big picture? Like, of all the topics I picked,
I went on Conan's show, Letterman, and the Tonight Show with Leno, and Conan was by far the funniest and the most chatty in between commercials.
Like legitimate chatty, not like, well, can you believe this weather?
No, he was so funny.
Okay, of all those shows, I'm trying to think. I've been on none of them. So I am even more jealous of you. Kennedy, check out our podcast.
Brian Kilmeade.
And with us right now is Senator Marshall. Senator, I know the Jewish holidays today, so not much is going on. Tomorrow there could be a vote. Do you sense, I know there's 3 Democrats who've come to your side, and you lost Rand Paul because he's on his own planet. But do you sense there could be 5 more Democrats who take the rug out from underneath Schumer?
Well, Brian, good morning, and not yet. This is day number 2 of the Schumer shutdown. This is a political shutdown. This issue on the COVID subsidies is all a smokescreen. I really think we should ask AOC when she's going to cry uncle. Did you see Nancy Pelosi respond yesterday? That how she bristled her neck.
In fact, Senator, for our listeners, let's hear it. So I know what you're referring to. So let's hear it. Cut 8.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing? Why are you saying?
She said go to her office directly. Do you think there's any?
She is not directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is. She's an articulate spokesperson for her point of view.
But by the way, this is what Nancy Pelosi is yelling at the reporter, which is nice. But here's what AOC said, cut 7.
I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
So are you, Senator? Are you going to take her up on that? Or should Nancy Pelosi get an education of what AOC actually said?
Well, Brian, maybe you and I could go over an interview or sit down and host her for a round table, you and me, and have that discussion as well. But I think that you're a journalist. You read body language. I'm a physician. I read body language. I've never seen Nancy Pelosi bristle like that. I mean, they hit a nerve. This is absolutely Chuck Schumer responding, just like New York City trying to figure out what to do with their potential communist mayor. The rest of the Democrat Party is trying to figure out what to do with AOC. If there was a primary tomorrow in New York, I think that she beats Schumer running away. So this is Chuck Schumer getting down on his knee, bending his knee to the far, far left radical liberal party that they have become right now. So this is all political. I don't think there's any way we bridge that gap this weekend. I think next week when the Democrats wake up and there's another 100,000 people that have been permanently fired from the federal government, shrinking this government back. And Brian, I want to give you some facts. I know that you actually want someone to back up their facts. When Joe Biden became president, there was about 2.8 million federal employees. When President Trump took over, there was over 3 million. President Trump has shrunk us about half the way back. We're not even back to pre-Biden numbers, to pre-COVID numbers in the federal government. So we got a lot of work to be done to shrink the size of the federal government.
So I remember in March, Schumer said, I don't want a shutdown because it'll allow Musk and Trump more leeway to drastically cut programs. And he told Dems we have to fund the government. Now here we are in September. Does he think that because Musk is gone, they're not going to cut? Russ Vought is actually doing it more methodically with more experience. He's been studying it. And he already froze $18 billion that are going to New York infrastructure. Obviously a message to Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Schumer. Do you worry about looking callous? Because these jobs are filled with people, right, that have families. Do you worry about that perception?
I don't think I worry about it, Brian, but it's part of the political calculation. I think we should measure twice and cut once. I think that the big picture Republicans back home understand that we're going to take in $5 trillion and spend $7 trillion this year. They understand that regulation is probably the one of the biggest holders brakes on the economy as well. They realized that there was less federal employees, that there'd be less regulatory process, hopefully, to jump through as well. So I think it's part of the calculus. The economy trumps this by 1,000. And no, we don't want to be callous. We do not. What we do want to see, though, is helping these people move from government jobs back into the private sector and growing the economy rather than throttling it down.
So this is within the Washington Post today, and they basically said Democrats just marched into a shutdown trap. And they say left-wing Democrats, like the Freedom Caucus before them on the Republican side, enter this shutdown in a position of weakness. President Trump and his budget director, Russ Vought, now have extraordinary authority to choose which agencies to close, which spending to prioritize, even which government workers to lay off. And they're wondering what they were thinking. He said a partial shutdown of the federal government began at midnight. Democrats have insisted any agreement to prevent a government shutdown must extend tax credits for the Affordable Care Act beyond this year. But they don't have any leverage to do it. They all wish they could have a different program, but they lost the majority. The big, beautiful bill passed. And those cuts are to the pandemic level of supplemental spending, as well as making sure that the right people are getting Medicaid and not healthy people who are just sponging off the system.
Right. Yeah, Brian, let's take a quick dive down on these COVID subsidies, if you don't mind. Number one is we should fund the government and get it open. That's a separate conversation than these COVID subsidies because it's so complicated. I've been looking at this now for several months, knowing that December 31st is the deadline. I'm willing to sit down with anyone, anywhere, any place, and discuss them. The first thing we have to address is the fraud. So these subsidies have grown under the ACA from $50 billion to $150 billion a year. We think that maybe $50 billion of fraud, waste, and abuse is setting. I'm not making that number up. If we had time, I could go into a lot of detail, but there's a huge amount of fraud, waste, and abuse there. And then behind the scenes, behind the curtains, insurance premiums are going to go up 20% this year. Brian, that's what I want to work on. I want to work on bringing down the price of health care. So regardless of what happens with these subsidies, the policies are going to go up 20%. And the worst case scenario for Democrats is the government's only paying 80% rather than 90% of the premium, if that makes sense. And we're happy, to talk about what we'd like to do as Republicans to drive down the cost of health care, but just want to drive this home. $50 billion of fraud, and the cost of health care insurance premiums are going to go up 20% regardless of what happens here in the next month or three.
So that's what Democrats are counting on. Because at the end, setting up for the year, they say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, here's your new premiums. And the Democrats are going to say, that's because Republicans cut your program so rich people can get richer.
Yeah, and that's I think I'm just so frustrated, and of course that's going to be this is their number one issue that they're going to try to run on next year is health care. And I think that Republicans need to lean into it with solutions. What President Trump did yesterday with Trump RX is a step in the right direction on the price of prescription drugs. We have legislation called our price tags bills, where we would force hospitals, imaging centers, surgery centers to post their prices. And when your doctor says you need your knee replaced, you could look at all the hospitals in your area, look at the prices, look at their outcomes, and then you make a decision because you're going to have to use your HSA dollars to pay your out-of-pocket, that type of thing. We need to expand HSAs as well. So there's things that we can do to start driving the cost of health care down. So between now and when people go to the polling booth next November, Republicans can show results. But look, this 20% rise in insurance premiums is on the back of the ACA. It's on the back of these subsidies that the federal government has given so much subsidies to insurance companies. You talk about corporate welfare, $150 billion a year of corporate welfare. The more we give the subsidy, the more they raise everybody's insurance policies.
So, that's what you need, people to study this. It's not something that can be a cartoon or a couple of lines. So we find out where the weakness in the system is, find out how to fix it, and understand everybody wants everyone to have great health care, top quality health care at affordable prices. Nobody wants to get anyone bankrupt. But the Obamacare system is not working. And to fix it, they keep throwing more money at it. And if you take the money away, that means you don't like poor people. And that's the cycle that you need people to stand back and approach this intellectually. And someone like you, who's a doctor that studies the insurance side of it necessarily, and now as a politician, to come forward with the definition. And hopefully behind closed doors, there'll be serious people on the other side to try to work this out a year out of the midterms. But lastly, the whole problem of giving illegals all these accommodations, including health care, has never been a problem before until recently. I want to bring you back to the 1990s. Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer, believe it or not, they've both been around since the 90s. Listen to them talk about illegal immigration and health care.
We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country. We know now that too many people come in for medical care as it is. We certainly don't want them having the same benefits that American citizens are entitled to have.
People say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
That was his worry in the 90s. Does he think it went away now? And why did they change their perspective?
Yeah, Brian, so that's politics, right? So they're responding to their far left base. They have changed their beliefs. Every morning, Brian, I don't mean to be corny, but I wake up and pray that I would do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. And that do justice part is what we're talking about right here. What's the right thing to do? Probably 2 million people, 2 million illegal immigrants have been getting free health care or subsidized health care from the federal government. I mean, that's what the CBO said. 2 million illegal immigrants each year get free health care subsidies from the federal government. And our One Big Beautiful bill made a pretty good firm attack on that, forcing people to figure out who these people really are, where they're working, those types of things. And the part of what the Democrats want to open government up again is to do away with that. But I think that this is, I'm not the politician, but something of convenience. So they switched their stance on this because that's what's convenient right now in their political party. Don't you think this is just about them moving and I'm trying to do what's right here. Look, I want everybody to have meaningful, affordable access to health care, and every person that came into our emergency room or anyone that showed up that needed they're delivered and they didn't have health care, we took care of them. That's the right thing to do. But we can't be sitting there with a beacon saying, come to America, you're going to get free housing, free food, and free health care.
Right. And that's where where the funding for illegals comes. The money goes to these hospitals because they have to operate on people for free and treat them for free. So not if you provide money to those hospitals, and what that's money for, people who come in uninsured. Who's uninsured? Illegal immigrants are uninsured. That's how it doesn't necessarily say this money's for illegal immigrants, but that's how they're handled. And we get it. And that was very competently defined for us by J.D. Vance on Fox and Friends yesterday. We brought it forward. Senator Marshall, last question. What is your prediction on how long this will last? What does your gut tell you?
Yeah, Brian, I put the over-under for next Tuesday. I think by then his political base will have realized they didn't walk into a trap. They walked into a buzzsaw. When Russ Vought gets through with this week and the first and next week, and President Trump, he's got the biggest megaphone I've ever seen. When he drills them, when things come out like Nancy Pelosi's, I think that was just a tattletale moment yesterday when she just lost it on camera about AOC as well. So I think by next Tuesday, Schumer says, he'll declare victory. And we'll get on with life. At least that's my hope. So I put the over-under on next Tuesday. We'll see.
All right. Roger Marshall on the record Tuesday. Senator, thank you. Hope you're right.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
You've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state. Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas.
Of course, I condemn Hamas. Of course, I've called October 7th what it was, which is a horrific war crime. And of course, my belief in a universality in international law is also the same set of beliefs that have led me to describe what's happening in Gaza as a genocide.
People have called it a genocide, but not in America. But he does reflect the Democratic Party, who I think gives Israel a 35% approval rating, yet they get about 75% of the Jewish vote, do the Democrats. Jason Riley joins us now. Wall Street Journal columnist, Manhattan Institute senior fellow, Fox News contributor, best-selling author. His latest book is The Affirmative Action Myth, Why Blacks Don't Need Racial Preferences to Succeed. Jason, your column, though, really caught our attention just about what's going on in this mayoral race as a topic. We did get news that Eric Adams is now endorsing Governor Cuomo, which is a big... He had to, hold his nose and do that because they really hate each other. So he's trying to do that to stop Mamdani. First off, why is he so strong still? Why is he leading the pack?
Well, it's a pretty weak pack, first of all, Brian. None of these guys are very likable. Yes, Adams did endorse Cuomo, but Adams was running in the single digits. I mean, even if every Adams supporter went to Cuomo, who's in second place, he'd still be 20 points behind Mamdani. What really needs to happen is for Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate, to leave the race and have all of those Republican voters, in addition to the independents and the moderate Democrats, all get behind Cuomo. And then maybe Cuomo would have a shot at this. So the endorsement is important. It's the right thing to do, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough for Cuomo to put him over the top.
Why is he popular? Why is he leading? What's going on?
He's running on affordability, and everyone knows New York City is very, very expensive. And so he's promising a lot of free stuff. Rent freezes. He's going to make transportation free. He's going to open government grocery stores. He's going to double the minimum wage. All of these things sound really, really good. They're straight out of the sort of socialist redistributionist playbook. They're not practical. They're not pragmatic. They won't work, but they sound good. And the other people in the race aren't pushing back hard enough at that message. And I think that's one of the reasons Mamdani is ahead.
But when he says, I don't like capitalism, and he says cops are racist, you would think that'd be the death knell without an extreme apology. Here he is talking more about the police. Cut 30.
The difficulties where, for example, when I started running this race, about 200 officers were leaving the department every month. Now it's 350. We're asking cops to do everything we can think of. We're asking them to handle mental health calls. We're asking them to deal with homelessness. Every year now, cops respond to 200,000 mental health calls. So our proposal is allow the officers to do their job of tackling serious crime and create a Department of Community Safety that deals with homelessness, that deals with mental health crisis, so that we don't have response times like we do today, which are closer to 16 minutes.
Your thought about his answer?
It's ridiculous, Brian. You know what cops really want? They want the lawmakers, they want the judges, and they want the politicians to keep the people that are arrested locked up. They don't want those people back on the street a few hours later or a couple days later. That's what they want. They want the prosecutors to actually prosecute lawbreakers. That's what they want. They don't want to be blamed for every social ill in society. That's what they want. They don't want calls for defunding. That's what they don't want. And so I think his answer is ridiculous. More recently, he's proposed that a civilian review board be able to discipline police.
Covered the New York Post today. Covered the New York Post.
Not the police chief, the civilian review board, which is ridiculous. I mean, the one good thing that Eric Adams did do was hire Jessica Tisch, the new police commissioner, who is doing a fabulous job since she's been on the job. You know, gun violence is at a record low in the city. Subway crimes are at a 15-year low. So things are moving in the right direction on that front. And that is one of the really bad outcomes that we could have from electing Mamdani, is reversing those positive trends when it comes to quality of life in the city.
So they got to strip the commissioner of that power. The union says they would destroy morale and actually have massive walkouts because they won't do it. The sergeants union said it would ensure a mass exodus off the force in New York City. No one was consulted about this, but he is going to actually go even further. He's going to pick the people on the review board that are going to all of a sudden decide to suspend a cop, all of a sudden decide to fire a cop. A bunch of people who probably got the job because they don't like cops. And we all know that he just brought up there's people, the homeless unit. There was a homeless unit. People that deal with domestics, there were all specific units. De Blasio cut all that. Adams put some of it back. He is going to kill charter schools. He's going to kill cops. He's going to bring up crime because he's not going to have any enforcement. People think he's just a mayor. What's the big deal? I think this is a huge deal. And you know who also thinks it's a huge deal? Every Democrat, because they don't know what to do with this guy. They don't know whether to endorse him, run from him, but no one condemns him.
Yeah. The two most powerful Democrats in Washington, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who are the highest officials in the Senate and the House, have refused to endorse so far. They're very, very hesitant to endorse Mamdani, and I think that they're afraid of him becoming the face of the Democratic Party, particularly going in to next year's midterm elections. Democrats have been bleeding working class voters in recent years, and putting a 30-something socialist in charge of the largest city in the country, they think could be a very bad look for the Democratic Party. And I think that's why they're so hesitant. And other high-ranking Democratic officials have been hesitant to endorse Mamdani. He's a big problem for the party. They might get control of New York City. But, you know, we know that Democrats are united in their opposition to President Trump. They've made that very clear. What we don't know is that beyond that, what do they stand for? What are they in favor of? How far to the left do they want to go? Mamdani stands ready to fill that void, Brian, and that terrifies a lot of Democrats.
But not only that, his ideas for making it affordable, the city affordable, is to raise taxes and also freeze rents. Does he play this out when you freeze rents? When the rents go up on the building, when taxes go up on the building, when maintenance goes up on the building, you can't raise rents? Yeah, if you're being gouged, there's oversight boards for that. But if you're just if you're offering the rent needed to keep that building afloat, and then someone comes in and freezes them, play that out, Jason. You're the Wall Street Journal. How does that work out financially?
Basically, when the government sets the price of rent instead of the free market, instead of supply and demand, you get shortages. What the problem is that not enough affordable housing is being built because the builders know they won't get a return on their investment if the government determines how much they can charge in rent. That's the problem. More rent control will not fix that problem. It will make that problem worse.
Absolutely. Jason, just looking right now at what's happening in New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli, he's got Trump on his side. Last time, Trump just kind of stayed out of this. Maybe he didn't want his endorsement. But now that he did so well in New Jersey relative to it being a blue state, he seems to be gaining. He's at 2.5% in one of these polls. This was a poll that was cited in the New York Post today. It's called the I forgot the name of it, but the poll has him 2.5 points down. The Emerson polls has him in a flat-footed tie with Mikey Sherrill. And then you have the Fox poll that has a 6-point difference. Here's Chittarelli on what Sherrill's doing, and that is running against Trump. Cut 31.
If you get a flat tire today, she's going to blame the president. There's nothing she won't blame on the president. The president has nothing to do with our property taxes, nothing to do with our electricity bills, nothing to do with the failure of our public school systems, nothing to do with overdevelopment, nothing to do with the spike in nonviolent crime. That has everything to do with the people that control Trenton right now. So that's what this race is really all about.
It is, along with her character problems. She wasn't able to walk her graduation at the academy because of a cheating scandal. We know, too, that she made $7 million in investments since she went to Congress and doesn't know where it came from. She has no explanation for it. She really has no agenda. Is she vulnerable in the long run?
I think she is vulnerable, particularly because you look at a state like New Jersey, Democrats have been in control. It's like looking at a lot of these places that Democrats have been running for a very, very long time. You cannot blame Republicans for the problems in New Jersey. They haven't been in control of New Jersey. So to the extent that she's going to try and blame Donald Trump, of all people, for the problems that New Jerseyans are facing, yes, she's very vulnerable, and that's why she's trying to talk about other things.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in the next few months, because in Virginia, the president stayed out of it. Is that a wise move?
Well, I think it's wise for the president to do what the candidate in the race wants him to do. I mean, the candidate in the race is closest to the people, the votes that are trying to be gained in that race. And so if the president can sort of defer to what the Republican in the race wants done, I think that's the best thing he can do, whether it's Virginia, whether it's New Jersey. I think that's what would be the wise course for the president.
And lastly, Jason, I'll throw you something out of left field, but I think matters a lot. In a few weeks, the president's going to meet with the president of China, President Xi, at which time he tweeted out, put out on Truth Social yesterday, that he's going to have his farmers front and center. The farmers are suffering. The Chinese have just refused to buy our soybeans, and it has been a great crop. And they are paying more money to go to Brazil and elsewhere to buy soybeans. How important is this visit and getting that result? Because the farmers are his base in many ways.
It's a problem, Brian, and I think it goes back to tariff wars and how difficult it is to win a tariff war. People just escalate, and that's what China is doing. And I think we need to tone it down. No one's going to win a trade war on these grounds. He's right. I think Xi has found a spot where the president is vulnerable with farmers in some of these red states in particular. And so he's kind of got him over a barrel there. And I think the answer is to de-escalate, whether it's tariffs on China, Europe, or even with our allies. I think bringing down the temperature on the trade war is the way to go.
Even though that revenue is flowing in, you still don't like the idea of tariffs?
Well, it's a sort of shifting reason for the tariffs. Is it for revenue? Because if it's for revenue, then we want them in place permanently to continue raising revenue. And I don't think that's what we want. That's not what the farmers want. Or are the tariffs for leverage to get other countries to reduce their tariffs? So there's been a sort of shifting rationale as to why we have these tariffs in place, but I haven't heard a really good reason for any of the tariffs to be in place.
Forcing manufacturing to come back, saying
That's
no tariffs.
Rationale.
Yeah.
That's another rationale.
I would love that
Bringing
too.
back manufacturing jobs, yeah.
All right, it's going to be interesting because we know we get growth, but we also know we got to balance the budget, got to get our debt under control, and we got to get a resolve, especially when it comes to India. We got to get some type of deal there. Jason Riley, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.